It is that time of year again to nominate your favorite comic book YouTube channels. So I will have a link down below to the Comic Book Community Awards nomination page, and I'll have a couple categories I think I'd be a great fit for, and I would really appreciate your nominations and votes later in the year. But with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the books this week. What's going on, everyone? Nick from Comic Culture here. Time for Nick at Night, my weekly comic book review show. Let's talk about the books I read this week. Starting over in Marvel, we have Thanos Annual. This is written by somebody who I'm not too familiar with, but art by Salvador Larroca. Derek Landy on the writing. So if you like Thanos, if you only have a context of Thanos from the MCU, you know he's obsessed with the Infinity Stones. He's going to put them together. This kind of covers that a little bit from his historical standpoint, and it's also updating you as to like what the state of the Infinity Stones are right now. They're actually changed a little bit, and we explore that inside of here. They're actually embedded inside of people, and those people have the ability of that stone. He's trying to collect them again. He's interacting with the different people the stones have assimilated with, and he's becoming obsessed with, just gathering the stones again by any means necessary. And so I did like the interactions between the different people. They think they know what the stones are all about, the powers that they imbue them with, but Thanos is really the master at not only collecting them, managing them, but also fighting against them. And it was a pretty cool thing to see that inside of here. We're introduced to a new stone. It's not too of an unfamiliar concept with Thanos himself being obsessed with death and everything. We basically have a death stone. We unpack that a little bit as well, and we get to see some cool battles between Thanos and some stone wielders. And this is going to play out as we go through with the rest of this story arc. So Thanos issue number 1, not bad, pretty cool thing going on with the Infinity Gems and everything, and it's reminiscent of what Thanos was all about back in the day. So if you're into that kind of stuff, this might be for you. Let me know if you read it. Next up from Hill, we have Ultimate Black Panther. This is issue number 5. Great issue right here, giving us a lot of information about this energy source that was hidden away, that Killmonger and Storm have been watching over, and Black Panther was made aware of recently. We understand the ability that this stone has, and maybe some of the rationale between Khonshu and Ra, like rationale for why they want this power source. It didn't give us all the answers, but it definitely gave us enough to make some big assumptions as to what they might be doing with this power source. It also introduced us to their ways of like controlling people to get what they want, to have them infiltrate like Black Panther's ranks and get some information. And so we get to see that play out, which was pretty awesome as well. Pretty cool showcase of powers in here too. So a good explainer issue. We learned a lot. We still have a lot of questions unanswered, but we're going to be going through more of this with Ultimate Black Panther as the series progresses. Not too bad. What'd you guys think? All right, let's jump over to DC. We have Action Comics 1066. We also had Superman out, which was the conclusion of the Brainiac one. So if you want that complete storyline, read Action first, then read Superman. You get some kind of conclusion, and it starts heading us in a new direction. I really liked the Brainiac story arc. We had Lobo in here teaming up with Superman. We had the entire super family essentially fighting Brainiac. Brainiac is developing a hive mind at the expense of his family, using all this power and ability to create a new being, his queen, right? The Brainiac Queen, who we got introduced to in the previous issues. Very, very formidable. Didn't have a lot to do besides wipe out some people, but was taken out fairly quickly. We get to see the resolution of that in this issue right here. A lot of different members of the super family stepping up, taking charge, and help save the day. And we get an interesting sacrifice in a way from Lex Luthor, not physically, but maybe mentally. We're going to see what that brings us in subsequent issues. So the two of these I'm kind of throwing together right now, Superman and Action Comics, because they're basically the same issue. It's just like a continuation of that. So they were both pretty decent. I like the Brainiac arc. I can't wait to see what is going to happen to Lex in the future. So that's kind of got me excited. Let me know what you guys thought overall down below. Next up from DC, we have Detective Comics 1086. Ram V on this one. A slew of creative teams, a couple different stories involved in here, but we're still building up the ranks now for Batman to take over Gotham again. The Orgum family has completely taken it over, essentially brainwashed it, and has also cultivated or matured this like ultimate godlike being, which was unleashed, and we got to see a little bit of a glimpse of it inside of this issue. But Batman again recruiting more people to his cause, talking back to the 10-eyed man, which I think is a really, really cool character that Dan Watters kind of revitalized in the previous, I think it was an Arkham run that came out a year or two ago, something like that. But again, Bat Family is, stepping strong right now, standing up against the odds, and we're going to see exactly what happens when these two giant armies clash, essentially. So everyone's revitalized and ready to go. They did introduce a new character in here to me, maybe not for you longtime DC readers, that I'm going to have to unpack a little bit. I think it's the daughter of Harvey Dent, if I'm not mistaken. So new to me, I'm going to have to unpack that, and I think it's going to be pretty cool. The back story in here, actually written by Alex Packnadell, is all about Two-Face, as you would expect, and I thought it was really interesting. So I cannot wait to see what this war is that he's going to have to deal with because of one of his goons made a misplay, and so he has to clean that up. And so I thought it was pretty engaging. But Detective Comics, a couple different stories going on. Some interesting things are building, coming to a head very soon. Can't wait to see what's going to be happening. Let me know if you read it. Next up, we have Tamaki on Zatanna issue number 1. We have Bringing Down the House. I was excited for this one just because there's so many fire covers for this series coming out, including a Jenny Frison one next issue. But I don't really know a whole lot about Zatanna other than what I've seen in some of the DC animated stuff and how it relates to like Constantine and whatnot. So this is a really cool book to kind of, maybe get you oriented, I guess, in here. I can't quite pinpoint the timeline that this takes place in. She seems like she's kind of dismissed, or she's kind of ignoring her mystical past in a way because of a tragedy we explore inside of here. But this isn't like the super confident, strong Zatanna that I would normally see in DC projects. This is somebody who's hiding from the past, basically on stage right now, just doing some cheap tricks. And that's what she calls it. She doesn't refer to her act as being magic. And there's a mysterious person in the audience who, when questioned, points out there's this big monster that's kind of haunting her right now. And there's this shadow that's been haunting her throughout the issue. We get to see that come to a head in here. I would say artwork is really nice. I think it's a breath of fresh air, to be honest with you. It doesn't have to be too serious. It's bright, it's vibrant, the lines are nice. I like the perspectives. The coloring was just really pretty, even though, there's not a whole lot going on sometimes. It was like, it's just beautiful the way it looks. Some of those flat colors really stand out to me. So I'm engaged. I'm interested to see where the story goes. It's a new number 1. Let me know if you guys read it and what you guys thought. Absolute Power Ground Zero issue number 1 from DC. This is more of a issue number 0, I think, or just a build up to the Absolute Power event that's going to be coming very soon. A few different stories inside of here to get you oriented as to where some of these characters are and maybe their connection with Amanda Waller at the time. And so, we get some familiar characters from Superman in here, and we get to see some of the relationships between them and some of the other ancillary characters in the DC universe. But, Amanda Waller is putting together a team right now, of course, for Suicide Squad. She's using some artifacts that are scattered around in the DC universe right now and the people that are associated with those to build her team right now. So some pretty cool deep cuts for me anyways in here, I think. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see what their role is. I'm not going to give it away, but we just resolved something in the DC universe very recently, and this kind of like hits the reset button on that in an annoying kind of a way. And it's going to do it again from another property as well. I'm being vague on purpose because I want you guys to read the DC proper books. Then when you get inside of here, you're like, wait, I thought we already took care of that problem. And but they're going to creep back up inside of here. I will also say that there is a back story, like an Absolute Power number 1 preview. Just don't even bother reading that because it gives you so little context that like it's not even worth it. It's only a few pages long, and I think it's been another DC books at this point, but don't even worry about that one. So, issue number 1 of this one, I would say, I don't know, it's hard to tell if it's a required reading because we're going to get the proper books here soon, and it should give you the context you need going into those. So like, this is just really more of a tease, to be honest with you, and undoing things that are happening in DC proper anyways, which is always annoying with events. But I don't know, what do you guys think of this one? Let me know down below. All right, next we're going to go over to Image for a bunch of books. We have Feral issue number 4 from the Stray Dogs team. I've been liking this run so far. Again, it's a zombie apocalypse set with cats and dogs, and they're using, instead of a zombie apocalypse, it's basically rabies. And these dogs and cats, they have a certain knowledge set of like their world and how it operates. So they don't know what's going on. They just know that people are acting strange. Their human owners are missing, and other humans are trying to kill them. So they're trying to like figure all this stuff out. We thought we found a safe haven being back at home right now, but it's, deserted and abandoned, and there's threats everywhere, right? So like the classic zombie tropes and pitfalls or whatever that we've come to know and love, they fall for all those in here, and you can just kind of see them coming. So I like the adaptation adaptation from the pet's point of view, from a zombie apocalypse to like a rabies kind of an outbreak. And I think that's charming, and I think it's fun, and you can do a lot of interesting things with that. And that's what we're exploring inside of here. A lot of time bombs in this book that are just waiting to go off. They're starting to inside this issue. And like I said, all the traps that we know from zombie flicks, they just fall for them because they don't have any context. So why would they know about those things? So cool adaptation from something we already know into something we love. So props to the creative team. Feral number 4, not too bad. What'd you think? Ram V and Felipe Andrade on Rare Flavors, the conclusion, issue number 6. I think this is going to make a great trade read. I will say that since it's the end of the issue, I can't help but think of it from that perspective, like as an entire run. And I think the main message in here is there are moments in your life, there's people in your life who pull you out of like the mundaneness of your life or the routines that you're in, or they inspire you in some kind of way to appreciate the finer things in life, or maybe the craftsmanship or the quality of some kind of work. And I think this is a celebration of that mindset or ability to do that. It's not so much about the characters and he's a demon and whatever. It's more about, just living up to your potential, taking your time, respecting tradition, respecting craft, respecting the process, and just like basking in all that when it's all said and done. So that's like the main takeaway I have from this. Now, the story here, they do dive into that, and there's a lot of things that they explore as well, past relationships, regret and sorrow and things like that. And I think they did a good job of doing all that. Artistically, man, Andrade is just amazing. I love his line work. His coloring is just so beautiful as well. It definitely pops when it needs to, and it brings this cool splash of color all over the place. Just absolutely gorgeous. And so just from an artistic standpoint, it's beautiful. I think the overall message of the run is extremely beautiful as well. Had some hiccups here and there. It was kind of hard to make some connections here and there, but completely forgiven. I absolutely love the run. Issue number 6 is out right now. Definitely read it as a trade if you haven't been reading it in single issue format. Let me know if you read it though down below. Creature from the Black Lagoon, Dan Waters and Ram V on this one. Universal Monsters. We have Matthew Roberts on here as well. I gotta say, this is issue number 3, and I'm still not digging this run, to be honest with you. I think you could do a lot of cool things with Creature from the Black Lagoon, but like when you start introducing other villains rather, of a serial killer who wants to be the Creature from the Black Lagoon, you see that unfold inside of here, and you bring in a detective, and she's on some kind of revenge mission for not only the creature, but also the serial killer. Like, there's too many things going on, I think, in here. I think if it was solely focused on the mystery of the creature and, going into the deep end, so to speak, from that perspective, I think it would have been just a better story. Like, I don't want to care about a serial killer in this world. And so, but that's where we are. I mean, it's just amazing imagery and coloring and just creepiness in the art. But, these pages are few and far between, to be honest with you. So, there's a lot of other things going on in this. And I wish I wasn't focusing on other characters besides the creature. I wanted that to be the standout. I wanted that to be the focus, right? But that's not what we're getting inside of here. So issue number 3, I think it's 5 issues. Let me know how you guys are receiving this series so far. Let me know it down below. All right, let's talk about Void Rivals. We have issue number 10 right here. Now, this is the issue that kicks off and gives us a lot of answers. It was a week for answers in comics, I think, for the most part. Void Rivals is no exception. Now, there's 2 warring factions right now. We've been following those 2 main characters for the last 10 issues, and we know that there's a mysterious past between them. There's a connection there. There's also a connection, potentially, with like the Energon universe with them, or the Energon race with them. And so we understand that a little bit more in here. Again, it doesn't give us all the answers, but it starts heading us in a direction where we can start making those connections and start kind of like theory crafting all of that. So I thought that was really cool, and I can't wait to unpack that some more. That's basically the big reveal inside of here, like who these people are, these 2 different races, and how they connect with the broader universe. So that was a big breath of fresh air, I thought. The art and everything continues to be spectacular, lots of action, some muddy moments here and there, some panels that don't exactly describe what's going on in a clear way, but it's a fast-paced comic and it's easy to read, but before you know it, it's already over, and there's always a good cliffhanger at the end because that's what Kirkman likes to do. So Void Rivals number 10 gives us some long-awaited answers, which is really exciting. What'd you guys think down below? Let's talk about Grommets, Rick Remender, issue number 2. Spectacular issue. I loved the first one because it set the stage for that 80s skater vibe. And there's definitely some things I remember growing up in the 80s and 90s. I was like, yeah, that was a weird time back then. And it continues inside of here as well. One weird thing about this issue, though, is at the end of issue number 1, we were given this little hint as to where the story might go. That hint was completely abandoned in issue number 2, which was a little bit annoying. And it continues the dynamic between our main character and that new new skater friend that he has, and it introduces this like skating trio that they show on the front cover right here, and basically all the guys are falling for them because they're beautiful and they're into skateboarding and they're really good. So why wouldn't you be? Really cool artwork, great storytelling, great characters, amazing coloring, and it was just such a fun time to read it. I felt like on edge. I felt like unnerved when I was reading this book, and so they did a really good job of like putting you in the story, which I really appreciated. But when I got to the end of this, I'm like, did I misinterpret what happens at the end of the first issue? I didn't quite know. So, and they introduce a new issue, dilemma, or mystery at the end of this one too, unconnected. So I don't really know like where the story is going. I'm just having a good time watching these kids from the 80s like get in trouble and run away from people and like trying to make friendships. I think it's a really, really great book. Grommets issue number 2. Let me know if you read it. Let's go to the other recommender book. We have Sacrificers issue number 9. Max is still on this one. I think I mistakenly said there's going to be an art shift. I think it's coming up, if I'm not mistaken, maybe on the next issue, potentially, but who knows, whatever. So we have issue number 9 right here, and Sacrificers has been a great run, and it's been all about like basically burning down your idols and understanding the truth and just kind of like rising from the ashes and being your own thing. And that's exactly what we got inside of here. Pigeon, who we've been following for the past couple of issues, has been leveled up, right? He's like tasted the nectar of the gods, and he's been imbued with this great ability now, and he's taking his revenge out on all the gods. And it's just like in spectacular fashion, very, very gory. And even if the gods, maybe from like the reader's point of view, didn't necessarily deserve it, because that's kind of how I felt. I'm like, man, this guy is wrecking shop right now in a brutal way. The gods have been playing ball for a long time now, and they maybe didn't know all the ins and outs of how they were able to live this entire time, but they're learning it in a very quick way. And Pigeon is like dealing out the justice, which I really like. So lots of action in this one, lots of revenge in this issue, and a cool showcase of some of the gods' powers in here as well. So I can't wait to continue this journey with Pigeon as he goes on his revenge mission some more, and I can't wait to see our other main characters that we didn't see in this issue in the subsequent ones. So number 9, really great issue. What'd you guys think? All right, we have 2 books from the Ghost Machine universe. We have Redcoat issue number 3. Continues to be a solid book. Lots of funny bits in here. Lots of cool interactions and interesting characters. And we get some answers as to how our main character here was actually injured by this mystical axe that this cult had in their possession. So we get a whole history lesson on that axe. And of course, it's tied to historical events or lore, myth and legend, which I think is what makes this book so charming, is it takes all the urban legends and lore and stories that we've been told, and it incorporates them inside of this book, and it just makes things really fun. So props to the team for being really creative and trying to figure all these things out, connecting all these pieces, and I can't wait to see it grow in the broader Ghost Machine Geiger universe. And I just love all the characters they bring in here, the action scenes. It feels like an exciting historical adventure flick, so props to them. And yeah, man, I just can't wait to read more. So Redcoat issue number 3, another spectacular issue. What'd you guys think? And pretty much everything I just said about Redcoat you can say about Rook Exodus. We're on issue number 3. Fabok, props to the man. This guy can draw, and he's drawing a crazy world that is just full of so many interesting tidbits and environments and people and animals and everything. Like, this book really blows out the idea of what these avatars are and what they're able to do, right? I think we're introduced to like a dozen other ones that control other animals throughout this entire planet. So like, not only do we get introduced to more of these avatars, but there's also these like hidden empires all over the place. And we get to learn a little bit more about their attempts to fight back against this guy who's like wiping them all out. So again, really, really cool. This one really blew the world open, I think. Really excited to like see these different collaborations from these different avatars for these animals. I think it's gonna be really cool. So this one got me really excited as well. So Rook Exodus and Redcoat, killer offerings this week from Ghost Machine. Make sure to read them both. Then last but not least, we have from Boom Studios, Something's Killing the Children 38. So Frizen's on the cover, and I thought I'd jump back into this one and see what's going on. And I gotta tell you, man, these are just a series of one-off things right now, seemingly one-off stories at the moment. Erica just got done slaying whatever monster she had. Was it the one from issue number 37? Who knows? I mean, I don't remember a whole lot of details from that one, and enough connective tissue between that issue and this one to be confident about that. But she's basically passed out inside this random treehouse in some neighborhood. Some kids find her and they start poking on her and stuff, and she eventually wakes up and basically tells the kids, don't go out to the woods at night. There's bad stuff that happens in the woods at night. That's really it. That's all we really get inside of here. It's just a bunch of kids talking to Erica. Their babysitter comes in, she gets involved, and that's what we have. So did like anything happen in this issue? No, absolutely not. But was it enjoyable? I would say it was kind of enjoyable, but I would like to see the story going somewhere. Like, I don't have a clear direction just yet. The last 3 issues that we've we've had from Something's Killing Children have all been aimless, and they've been seemingly not connected. So that kind of bums me out. But I mean, this book had its moments. There were some cool interactions here and conversations. So like, I can't completely throw it under the bus, but I still want to know where we're headed. And I don't know yet. So Something's Killing Children number 38, it was fine. What'd you guys think? But all right, guys, that's all I read this week. I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know what you read and what your favorite books of the week were down below. While you're down there, like, subscribe, share, hit the bell notification to be alerted whenever I put out new videos. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you in the comments.